action has to be announced, the amount of the bet. So if you bet, just kind of, I'm gonna have to count everything. So just kind of.
We have to announce it?
No, I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
Just make it, just kind of push it because I'm gonna have to say what the amount of the raise. Every little thing has to be announced, so they know what's going on. Yeah. Yeah. Every little even check has to be announced. I mean, you guys do play like I have to. And I'm gonna have to. Yeah, just like if I'm announcing check. That's why normally I know real I wouldn't.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the World Poker Tour online live stream. I'm Tony Dunst, joined today by Michael Puja and Jason Kuhn. Guys, thanks for coming in the booth with me. We are coming to you from the Seminole Hard Rock in Hollywood, Florida for the WPT Lucky Hearts Open. We've got our final table here. As you can see, there's our final 6 taking their seats. Seat 1 through 6 is, actually, we're going to start with seat 1. Is Brian Altman, I believe our current chip leader, and he is all the way from Longmeadow, Massachusetts. He's a 26-year-old who was, Jason, you're saying he was going to, he was becoming a pharmacist at the same time he was grinding online, yes?
Yeah, that was Muckle.
Oh, that was Muckle, excuse me.
Yeah.
You're telling us about him a little bit, because I don't know Brian, but you were saying a little bit about his history.
Yeah, we learned a little bit about a couple of these guys just from the Northeast, where a bunch of my friends and original grinders know, and he was grinding. He won the TOB in PokerStar as well. I think getting his pharmacy. I know he got his degree to be a pharmacist, I believe.
Gotcha. And there's Mark Dube. He's our actual chip leader. Excuse me. Mark Dube is our chip leader. Brian Altman is second in chips. Dube, also Northeasterner. He has been an online grinder in the United States since the days of Black Friday. We'll be talking about his history in a little bit. Sanjay Gehi, he's from Birmingham, Alabama. He's coming in with 2.5 million in chips for about 31 big blinds. He is a married 36-year-old who just became a CPA but also plays some poker on the side. There's Kelly Minkin, a lawyer from Wisconsin who is at her first WPT final table but has had some recent scores on the tournament circuit, including a second, I want to say it was a World Series circuit in Arizona, to Joe Kuthru we were talking about before. So Kelly's got a very aggressive style here we'll be looking for today. She's coming in third in chips at just below 3.8 million today, and we have a lot to look forward to her. She has the opportunity to become the first female winner of an open WPT event. We've had some second place finishes, but not a winner so far, so we'll see if she can pull it off today. Sitting on her left is Greg Rosen from New Jersey. He's a 48-year-old who grew up here in Fort Lauderdale and works in security. Was asking us before if you come back to the booth, check all the wiring, make sure it was good. He's in 6th place. He is our short stack for the day, and hopefully he's going to try and run it up a little bit. Otherwise, he is going to be here rather briefly. And then in our 6th seat is Jon Graham from Adamonte Springs, Florida. He's a 24-year-old who currently plays online poker. He's been playing for about 10 years, so, man, he's been at it since he was a kid. Wow. And this is his second WPT event. His biggest previous cash was $28,000. So, all these guys have got a decent amount of experience, but we're looking at a lot of people whose largest tournament cash is 4 or smaller 5 figures. Guys for a final table that's going to all have an opportunity at getting their career largest cash. We've been looking at the payouts and noticed that from, as you can see there, 6th to 3rd, there's not a huge jump at any particular juncture. So would you guys say that this is a instance where a lot of these people should be playing for first or playing to get heads up?
Well, I think, and I'd like to see the payouts again, but I was pretty, if I was in Kelly's spot where she definitely should try to outlast the 14 and 18 big blind spot, or the 18 big blind jumps. But, yeah, once you get to four-handed, it's just kind of like, let's go to war and play for the win or second place of this thing. The bubble from 3rd to 2nd is quite significant. So I think that there's a good chance the table plays out where someone has all the chips three-handed and just sits there and crushes the other two.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that. I think that's a very good chance for that as well. These two chip leaders are not prone to sitting back and making jumps, even though, like you said, their prior scores would dictate that we'd expect some tight action and pay jumps and whatnot, just based on the fact that these pay jumps, these 40K pay jumps to start, are probably more significant than a lot of their biggest scores. But from some of the hands I've seen and from some of the history from Mark and Brian, I think we're going to see each guy try to jockey to be that guy shorthanded, where they can dictate the action.
Yeah, both these guys essentially tied for the chip lead, and then Kelly is kind of alone there in third, and then everyone else has got a short stack where it might go in rather quickly.
Cheer for your favorite. The only thing that I do ask, I know some of you are enjoying some beverages. Some of them have labels on it. Just make sure that you don't put anything on the top rail there, and it stays down below, and we're all set. Great. Everybody have a great time. Cheer on your favorite. And I'm going to turn it over to the tournament director now.
So we'll have our tournament director here at the Seminole Hard Rock announce shuffle up and deal, and then we'll get cards in the air. We are playing hour levels until we reach heads up, at which point the levels become 30 minutes.
Chips-wise, Mark has the advantage, I think, on Brian, but also more importantly, he has the seat. And Kelly in third chips has, probably arguably one of the better seats at the table overall.
Yeah,
she's in a great spot.
Well positioned to take advantage
All right,
of the
we're going to
aggression of
shuffle
the
up
two
and
chip
deal.
leaders.
And she's proven
We're
not
gonna
to,
be at a
not to sit
$10,000
back
ante.
either and wait for
Lines
other
are
people. I think
40
she was
and 80,000.
towards the end of the bubble, the final table bubble last night. She was
Mark's
shoving.
going to start off with the button in seat
Brian
number 2.
open, Mark 3-bet, and then all in from Kelly with 2 short stacks still at the table. We don't know the hand, but there was action leading up to the final 6. So we'll see. This is really cool dynamic between the difference in seats, chips, and also the pay jumps and what they might mean to these 6. You can really make an argument for fast-paced play, or people sitting back and waiting.
Yeah, I'm guessing the real shorties are going to be playing quite tight.
Yeah.
And I also think that there's a chance that 1 and 2 and chips go to war a little early, which I think wouldn't be necessary, but seems like since they're directly beside each other and both of them like to play frisky. I know I've played with Alti a ton back in the day in online tournaments, and he is one that has a lot of heart.
John folds.
Yeah, I've definitely seen Brian around in the tournaments. I think that I've played some live cash with him, and I remember thinking that, okay, there's definitely a guy who's very competent and comfortable at the table. I don't really know a ton about his playing style. We see here he's going to open ace-4 offsuit on the cutoff.
175.
Mark right behind him.
175,000. Mark folds on the button.
Sanjay with an ace-7 in the small blind. 2.5 million. Kind of an awkward stack to play here out of the small blind, guys. I can't imagine you'd be playing many hands light here.
Folds, Kelly folds.
Yeah, I agree. Awkward stack, awkward position right now as far as chips in accordance with everyone else at the table. I think he's in the middle. He's in 4th.
Yes.
So there's 2 shorties behind him. Awkward hand, awkward position. Pretty easy getaway.
And there is our payouts. We're talking about the fact that there's fairly small jumps from 6th to 3rd, and then a rather large one from 3rd to 2nd. And our top prize is $723,000 today, including a $15,000 seat to the WPT Championship at the end of April at the Borgata in Atlantic City. Guys, I imagine we'll see both of you there this year.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I'll be there.
I'll be there.
For another great tournament at the Borgata. We, of course, were just there for the Winter Poker Open last week. Our winner, Aaron Mermelstein, took home about $700,000 himself. Eugene Todd heads up.
It's pretty nice. Second final table in a row, we have a sweat for history and
That's right.
see a female champion. I think it's you're only going to keep seeing it more and more often. The opportunity there, and eventually we'll get there. And today could be the day, but it's really cool. I think that first way DT just a little while ago, and there's always that sweat, and I think it's going to continue to be more of a sweat, and can't wait till it gets there.
So you can see here, this is a really, really loose open
Yeah.
on the hijack. I mean, I'm not surprised at all, but 10-7 off is quite loose, and I think you're just going to see this nonstop. I'm wondering if Dube will start
Coming after him.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
he should. He definitely should. If Altman's just going to sit there and open like 60% of hands or whatever.
Maybe it'll be Sanjay here who comes after Altman.
Yeah, I don't think he should call here. I think it's a
Yeah.
pretty sweet spot to 3-bet.
I agree. This is a nice spot, a nice hand. He's against an opponent who seemingly is opening very frequently. Of course, he doesn't know anything yet.
And
But-
in that position, I mean, opening these blinds with,
Yeah.
with Kelly in the small blind, this is a great
Yeah, that's a great spot.
snap fold with King Jack from the big blind.
Kelly and Greg both fold.
Which is totally fine. But this is a great spot to 3-bet, I agree.
Nice healthy 3-bet as well to 475, and Sanjay is going to take that one down. So a nicely executed light 3-bet in the early going by Sanjay Gehi from Birmingham, Alabama. And he played $385 satellites trying to get into this event, busted them all, and then decided to buy in. And this is his first WPT, so really exciting opportunity for him as well. His largest tournament cash was $6,700 going into this, and he's locked up 6 figures already today. So encouraging to see that the stakes are not overwhelming Sanjay, and that he's already making some plays that are going to help him advance up that pay ladder.
Yeah, satellite sounds like my my satellite career.
Yeah.
Spending 3 buy-ins to get into a tournament.
Brian reluctantly passes up Queen 7 offsuit there. First to add, you could see he wanted it. Sanjay here with Queen 5 of spades on the cutoff.
Opening Queen 5 suitor from the cut.
Sanjay raises to 160,000. Kelly folds a button. Greg folds out of the small blind.
Over to John, our short stack. Well, one of our short stacks.
Definitely will be calling this, I imagine. He says on his information that he's a math-based player, so he's a math-based player. He's definitely going to be defending against some in-raise, yeah. So that's math went up
There you
under
go.
there.
Are you surprised to see that fold there, Jason?
Yeah, I think it's pretty bad, even against a really tight range. You're getting 4.5 to 1, and being the short stack with not really having to worry about a ladder jump, you can defend and stack off just basically perfectly because position's not relevant when you have 13 big blinds or whatever. Like, you're not worried about flopping top pair and getting blown off of it by the second and third street because you're going to flop top pair and check raise all in.
Right.
So, yeah, having 10-8, I think it's much too good of a hand to fold, getting 4.5 to 1.
I like what I'm seeing from Sanjay so far. I didn't
Same.
expect him to be as
active.
just considering his history and the stacks right now. But I like what I'm seeing, and looks like he's in between careers actually.
Yeah.
Just became a CPA after a dozen plus years in IT, and just trying to splash around some poker and 5 satellite bust.
The neatest handwriting I've ever seen. of
Yeah.
anyone.
Yep.
Immaculate.
Here, Jon Graham with a pair of 7s in the small blind.
Yeah, he's just going to shove
All
here.
in.
Yep.
John goes all in.
Brian with King 3 not going to be able to make the call. I don't believe.
No, he's not going to call. I like Alti's pacing, though. He's
Yeah.
making the guy hurt a little bit before he folds. I think that's a good thing to do.
Really? You buy into that type of thing? Because I
Yeah.
often just kind of snap fold and want the hands to move
No,
quickly.
I don't. I think that this is a human game, and these guys are playing the highest stakes they've ever played their entire life. If you sit there and you look at him and you make his heart rate start pacing, he's not going to like that feeling, and you're going to kind of reinforce to him in future spots. Like, okay, I might need to think about this before I just automatically. I think if you're just always an easy walk or an easy fold, like I was surprised Kelly folded so quickly, regardless what her cards were, to Sanjay's cutoff open, just because I would kind of want to establish to him that I'm thinking to myself, like, wow, like, this is my button and this guy's just opening here. I want to let him know that this is kind of a personal thing. Like,
You're a
this is my-
possessive man.
Well, I think it needs to be established in a poker tournament.
I'll do it once in a while. I'll
Yeah?
definitely snap muck a lot
Okay.
because I think there are hands. I think when you play at a certain level, I would imagine most people understand that there are going to be certain hands that are just easy decisions. But there are times where I would like to be more balanced and think about a hand that I might know I'm folding right away
Right.
if I'm Kelly in the button spot, for
Sure.
example.
So would you guys say you're more likely to, balance your tanking against casual or semi-professional players in a situation like this where they're playing outside of their usual comfort level, and then when you're against professionals, you would just be more immediate in your actions, or do you do it both ways?
I think poker takes time, and I think that a lot of decisions that may seem automatic at first just aren't, and you need to give yourself time to think about those genuine spots, and why not balance that out once in a while and just sit there and kind of relax and
Take a
think
beat.
stuff through, and
Sure.
let other people kind of let feelings resonate inside them, you know?
Yeah, it can never hurt to take time and think over your decision. It could only hurt the other way if you act too quickly.
This is a spot where Kelly is pretty comfortably in third, and I expect 1 and 2 to leverage her a lot.
Blind folds a small blind.
Dube here with a 10-8 offsuit in the big blind.
I really like that she's not min-raising into these
Same.
two stacks in the
I
blinds.
was just about to say something.
I like her sizing here.
Wow.
Mark
Interesting.
folds out the big blind,
Just blown
Kelly
away
goes
by these big blind folds.
What is the worst hand you would call a 2.5x with there, guys?
She
Out
has
of the big blind.
45 big blinds to start the hand when we
Ish,
cover in the
yeah.
big.
What are among the worst hands, I guess, is what I'm
Definitely
saying.
peeling that hand. Among the worst that I would peel with.
You peeling 10-6 off?
Right. No, I'm not.
10-7?
Yeah, I think we're close. Are you peeling 10-6 off?
Yeah, I'm peeling a
Is
lot
it
wider.
2.5x?
I'm peeling a lot wider than that for a couple of reasons. The only reason I wouldn't be is if I think that she's opening really tight, and I don't think you have any reason to believe that since she's played pretty aggressively the entire way. And I just think that you get to put her in a lot of bad spots covering her, and her being in third place around a bunch of guys with 12 and 13 bigs. And I think that that's something that I would widen my calling range with, and I would a lot of the hands that are just too weak for me to call with, I would 3-bet her. I just, even if she does make a stand, I want her to prove to me, like, okay, you're going to make a stand against me and risk your tournament life, risk busking your comfortable 50 big blind stack or whatever with all these shorties. Show me, you know?
Okay.
I'm down with that. I'm more likely to 3-bet like 9-5 off you peeling.
Yeah.
Or you 3-betting.
Yeah, that
you
seems
know?
pretty loose. I think that'd be a fun candidate, or any kind of bad blocker hand, king
So
deuce off, something like
Right.
that.
Basically, the hands that are just slightly too bad to call, you would place in your 3-betting as a bluff range and then apply extra pressure on her.
Yeah, I think I would
Okay.
just be, especially out of the gates. In this spot, I don't even know if I would look at my hand.
And if you're with Dube's stack or Altman's stack, you would essentially pick her out and pick out, I'm trying to think who it is that's in fourth, Sanjay, as your go-to
absolutely.
target.
From both of them, their perspective,
Yeah.
I'd be looking at those two for sure. And I love that spot to 3-bet out of the big against her.
Absolutely, and even like we were saying that the first two jumps don't really matter that much.
Yeah.
They certainly matter to
These players.
people.
You know,
Yeah.
$40,000 is a lot of
Exactly.
money when your largest previous cash was $30,000.
Yeah.
Greg Rosen there moved all in with ace-9 for a little over 10 bigs and did not find any takers, so he'll collect that pot.
I played with him yesterday. He played pretty well. Also played with Kelly and Dube were at my table, and they seem to know each other pretty well.
Okay.
So that may be something too. You know, it might. I'm not obviously they're not going to soft play each other or anything, but knowing each other, they might keep it a little more cordial and not try to start a war with one another. But we'll see.
Greg folds under the gun.
Yeah, I haven't seen enough of the hands leading up to it, but I would, there is something to say maybe she's a little bit more narrow than she might normally be with these two stacks right behind her, but that might not be the case. I mean, she could easily raise fold. If I was raise folding to these stacks, I wouldn't be exactly be going 2.5 every time though. But with the stacks that were in the big blind, it's a weird spot for her to be opening really wide.
Yes.
I think.
Now, guys, if you're in John's position here, maybe a little over 15, 16 blinds, what do you do with a king-queen on the hijack? You just open like he did and then watch the action unfold behind you? Do you open shove? What's your move?
Well, I think it depends on how competent I think the two big stacks are of ICM, and how much they're going to punish me whenever I open. This hand's so good, and these guys are so aggro. I might just open rip, even though it's not something that I would standardly do. I just think that their calling ranges are going to be really tight.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking. And if something like what's about to happen happens, it's very awkward facing that 3-bet with king-queen because you know you're not going to get a fold very often. And when you put it in against these ace-medium type hands, you're technically behind.
Yeah, he definitely gets a fold out of ace-9
Yeah.
off, ripping it.
And Mark right behind him with king-jack suited on the button. Going to pass that one up.
Mark is going to fold on the button.
Does not cold call the 3-bet. Sanjay here with ace-5 suited in the small blind. Lets it go.
Sanjay and Kelly both fold out of the blinds.
And now we return to John with his rather frustrating situation.
Yeah, I think he's going to fold.
And it was something like this is why I asked that question. Normally, if, there aren't any extra circumstances, I just open king-queen for the minimum and then watch what happens behind me. With the 2 chip leaders who are likely to apply extra pressure on me, but with my not wanting to get it in against ace medium, I might just open shove the king-queen here.
Yeah, it's a very awkward situation, but I've had a lot of the hands that I've been discussing with friends and I think good players, we often kind of hinge on this, easier to play the hand route versus what might be more optimal.
Yes.
And so this is like a really good example of that. It might be more optimal to open the hand and extract value from the big blind. Sanjay might peel, the ace-5 suited or whatever's going on in the blinds, and there's a lot of merit to opening the hand, but there's also a lot of merit to open shoving, and it's a thin line to try to figure out what is most optimal versus.
In this spot too, though, the short stack actually gets to punish the 2 big stacks, which is the cool, rare situation that comes up in sit and goes or at final tables, or satellites even, whenever basically the 2 big stacks are locked up to get third or better.
Yeah.
The shorties then kind of get to take the role of, all right, I get to punish you a little bit. And in those spots, I think just open ripping king-queen would be better because they just don't get to call off. They have to call very tight.
Yes.
Yeah.
You definitely cannot call that shove with ace
Especially
9.
knowing he's shoving
Yeah.
with the short stack on his right. It was in play. It's you have to fold a lot of hands if you're them for sure. And it just stinks going from 15 bigs to 13 when you have to raise fold.
Yeah.
You're not going to get many better hands than that with this stack.
John is going to fold under the gun.
Brian thinking it over with 7-4 offsuit.
That'd be very optimistic, but if these people keep playing their blinds so tightly, though, it doesn't really matter what you're opening.
We're definitely see an open here.
Yeah.
Mark going to open his 10-7 of hearts here.
Mark is going to raise to 160K.
From what we've already seen from Brian, I imagine this exact position with Sanjay on the button, this is going to be a very popular spot to get after the blinds. Just because Kelly's one of the more aggressive, but she's in the small, so it's going to handcuff her a lot, and you have probably who's the most conservative player on the short stack in the big blind. This is just going to be a popular spot to go after the blinds.
I'm pretty sure he's just going to call here.
Yeah, I think I like calling more than 3-betting. You open yourself
Absolutely.
up to a re-raise that you can't really call, and
You dominate all of his crappy kings and queens that he's opening. It's just
exactly
a really
it.
sweet spot.
I'm calling here for sure.
Mm-hmm.
The big blind has how many blinds, though?
12-ish.
Okay, so
If it shoves, then you're going to have to call
we
your
have to
king-queen.
call, side call. Against his range.
And it looks
There's
like
a lot of people
Sanjay.
happy to call, but
Going to go with a 3-bet here. There are situations I would prefer 3-betting the king-queen here as opposed to flatting. This is just one of those circumstance type situations I prefer the flat, and it sounds like you guys feel the same.
this
Yeah,
is
I
that
think
part of the range. You're just, this is kind of like what I like to say is mashing a little bit. You're just it's a part of the range where you should be pretty happy to see 3, and like for what Jason was already starting to get to, just all the hands that are dominated staying in. Now they're folding, and you're effectively almost turning your hand into a bluff
That's right.
when
Yeah.
you do this.
I think
'cause
you do, really.
You can't really. It's just, what are you going to do when you get 4-bet?
Yeah, you're gonna fold, and
Yeah.
and the thing is if this was an under the gun open or something, this hand would play great as a 3-bet.
I will say if Mark calls here and Sanjay knows he has a tendency to raise call wide out of position, then he can 3-bet a hand like this for value, but it's still not something that I default to. It's typical for me to just call, but seeing that Mark is calling 10-7 suited there, if Sanjay is aware of those type of plays, I like his 3-bet more than I did previously.
Yeah.
Agreed. He's almost justifying this 3-bet by peeling this hand. I mean, I don't love this peel. for what
Yeah, if
it's
stuff
worth.
like this starts happening, then you're definitely get the 3-bet all this for value. You just basically take a linear range, which is just a value-heavy range rather than a range that has very good hands and very bad hands in it, which is called a polarized range. And you just 3-bet it all because you know they're just going to call your 3-bet and you get to play bigger pots with hands that have them dominated.
Mark has yet to check, may lead out here, which doesn't really represent very much. Oh, I'm sorry, he did check. I missed it.
Yeah.
Sanjay, and I like that he's betting small here, guys. The sizing looks good.
330,000.
Yeah, I'm pretty up in the air between
Betting and checking?
betting and checking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think both are fine. But I don't think he ever bets this flop with aces or kings.
Right. He also doesn't necessarily get ace high to fold here, which is unfortunate when you have king queen.
Yeah, it looks like he's going to get floated here.
Mark is definitely not one to give up on pots.
Yeah.
That's from the history. That, from what I've heard, this is very in line with his play.
And if you know that Mark doesn't like folding flops, then you can definitely check the flop, call a bet on future streets, and then hopefully not face two bets with an unpaired hand.
Or even, I think if you check the flop, your line's so credible that he's just going to play more face up. Even.
I agree.
It's way
He's playing
more
a
in
balanced
line
strategy.
A bunch of your pairs and your jacks would check that flop.
Absolutely,
so.
yeah. You just never want to get check raised where aces has 2 outs, you know.
Do you guys think Mark will lead out on this heart turn?
That's not a line that's very.
You don't see it very often, first of all.
It's the 6 of hearts really doesn't improve his range at
Right.
all, so I can't imagine him taking lead unless. Yeah, it wouldn't make any sense to me.
I agree. It wouldn't make any
much
sense.
at all.
But he does have a flush draw.
But he might want to do that just to go bet shove.
Yeah.
And then he is almost just slightly over 1-to-1, one stack to pot bet for Sanjay with 2.1 back with 1.6 in there.
But I agree that it's a more credible bluff to let the turn go check, and then bet the river.
So this is a spot where if he does bet, he should bet absolutely enormous.
I agree. You should just probably shove on him, right?
Yeah, like even let's say he check called the flop with ace queen. I don't think he should ever bet the river with it because it's a better card for Sanjay's range, and
Yeah,
you would
to
want
bluff
him
it.
to bluff it.
Yeah.
So if he leads the river, it's just bluffs or jack X, which is almost always the nuts. So yeah, I think he should just go all in if he decides to bet.
Sanjay with about 25% more than the pot behind.
Yeah, if Sanjay really thinks this through, there's very few hands he's going to bet like this for value.
Yeah, I could see a hero call with king queen. You do block his 2 most relevant jacks, so you block him having king jack suited or queen jack suited, which is a very big deal.
It's also one of those boards where it's difficult to put your opponent on a float because he doesn't have a ton of equity with whatever it is he called you with on the flop.
Yeah, this guy's repping so thin though.
Yeah.
But
and
Mark's style is he's in every hand, hanging on in every hand. That he,
Yeah, I
he
think
should know that he would float this flop with a lot of
Yeah,
hands.
I think he should have put a lot more stock into that river decision. I think that you have the best bluff catcher possible.
Yep.
Especially if he's playing his ace X as we think that he should be.
Which would be
And-
checking the river.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think like having king queen as a call in that river is equally as good as having most pairs of aces. I think king queen's just as good. I don't think the guy bluffs with like pocket 3s on the river or something like
No,
that.
he'll just try and get the showdown.
Yeah, and it looked like I wasn't paying too much attention to the suit runouts, but it looked like he could only have one combination of both king jack and queen jack suited because he had an offsuit king queen, and I think there was 2 offsuit jacks on the board that didn't match his suits. So I think just like basic hand reading, since he's repping jack X, all of which you beat, and if he has ace jack, he's going to check raise all in on the river. I don't think he's going to lead all in with
The nuts.
Yeah, with the virtual nuts. Yeah. So I think your bluff catcher's so good there, and this guy's so aggro that would be a spot to kind of nut up and think real hard and maybe put the hero card on and call with king high.
Easier said than done when you're at your
Absolutely.
first major final table. Call off most of your stack with king high there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's not like a decision I fault him or I
Yeah.
would expect him to think
Exactly.
that through properly. But
Yeah.
I think the flop is something he has played enough and should think about a little bit more. Like, what would I
Yeah.
do here with my strong part of my range? And I think
Right.
he would check back very often.
That's
So
exactly right.
That's something he can come to the conclusion of and really play the hand a little bit better. He might still lose the hand because he might face 2 barrels, but I think he has a much higher chance of winning the hand.
Brian has opened here, first to act with 6-4 suited. Now to John with ace-10 off in the big blind. Of course, if he knows the frequency that Brian is opening, this is a pretty easy shove.
Yep.
We don't know what Brian was playing like last night, but it seems that John is quite comfortable getting his chips in here.
Yeah.
And he should take down this pot in a moment.
Brian's going to fold, John will win the pot.
Seeing spots like that, those spots are automatic. You either
Yeah.
know you're calling or folding. I don't think you should ever
Okay.
think there. I was talking specifically about like if someone opens and you're on the button, maybe
Right.
it looks like you're conjuring up a light 3-bet, and then you decide to not do it, but they know that things are scheming in your head.
That you showed some restraint
Yeah,
this time.
exactly. Yeah, but maybe next. You know,
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the first situation he was actually trying to get a real count and think about calling with a king high, but then he realized he had too much probably and just.
Well, guys, we want to take a moment to tell you about our sponsor here on the World Poker Tour, DraftKings, the daily fantasy sports site where you can win your packages to both World Poker Tour main events as well as the World Series main event this summer. There's a great slate of NBA action coming up tonight, including a $300 tournament with a $60K prize pool and a whole bunch of other games. Tonight they also have a World Series satellite. There's going to be a WPT satellite back later this week. Those packages, very obtainable. I was able to lock one up the other night.
Are they very
They're
obtainable?
very
I
obtainable.
heard they are.
You know, I built 4 teams the other night, fired it in a $50 satellite, and won an $11,000 package to the LAPC. So I'll be seeing you guys there. I'll be seeing our other DraftKings qualifiers there. One of the DraftKings Team DraftKings players, Al Zinfeld, is going to be there as well, and we'll be attending a Clippers game. So definitely, if you are interested in sports and enjoy having a little bit of money on it at the same time, make sure to check out DraftKings. They have a ton of sports going on there, including the NBA that we talked about, but also hockey. Football season is, of course, over. There's a golf tournament coming up this weekend. They have European Soccer League. Pretty much anything you want is on there on DraftKings, so make sure to check it out. There is a shot of our payouts today. First place taking home $723,000 on a $3,500 buy-in that got pretty close to. I don't know what the total field was. It was
Just
off
over 1,000.
just over 1,000, right?
90 maybe. Something like that.
And it was a $3 million guarantee, which was surpassed here at Seminole Hard Rock. They've done an awesome job at building their prize pools over the years. This event has grown in size every single year during a period in which we have been concerned in poker about tournaments becoming too saturated across the globe, really, or too many tournaments going on at the same time, and so fields are diminishing. But here at Seminole Hard Rock, they just keep building big prize pools, and that has been the case this week. Meanwhile, Greg is all in with ace-king. Nobody with a reasonable hand to call with yet. Mark with ace-6 in the big, not going to think it over too long. Greg takes that down.
Shows.
Ace of spade, king of clubs.
Got lucky the first one I
Keep
looked
that
at was
credibility in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say this, guys. My tables during this event were amazing. Now, I know, Jason, you got a ton of chips in this event. It really looked like you were going to make a run for a while, and then you took another unfortunate hand. But what were your guys' reflection of the quality of field here?
It was unbelievable. I couldn't believe some of the things that I was seeing. It's
Yeah.
pretty hopeful for the game.
I think my day 1C table, it was me and 8 players I didn't know, was unfamiliar with. Many of them were clearly casual players. Looking around the room, it seemed like there was a lot of tables with only 1 or 2 professionals. Great stuff down here in Florida, and of course we'll be having our $5 million guarantee coming up in early April. Well, Kelly here with a pair of queens under the gun.
I'm going to see 200 again, maybe even a little bit more cheese, considering she's under the gun.
Kelly has a
210.
bachelor's degree in molecular and cellular biology. This girl's a total beast.
Incredibly
Yeah.
impressive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Folds.
And a law degree.
She's literally
Yeah.
been a lawyer for
Yeah.
over a year now.
That's unbelievable.
Only 27 years old as well,
Yeah.
Pretty good.
This is a spot.
Ooh, it is a spot, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, Kelly's only opened 1 hand so far this final table, though. But yeah, this would be a close one.
John's going to make the
16
move.
big blinds about right.
Again, this is one of those situations where having a read coming in from last night's very relevant within the first couple of orbits here. Of course, we know that Kelly's going to snap in a moment.
Yeah, I don't think you can really fault him if she's still playing pretty aggressive.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty loose. I think I'd
Kelly calls. Kelly turns over
default
queen
fold,
of hearts.
probably
I think my
shove
default
suited.
fold. I
For pair
agree.
queens.
Yeah, I think my default is fold.
John
actually.
turns over queen
Yeah,
of
but I don't
diamonds.
think it's a total punt or anything.
No, nothing like that. It's a very close one.
Yeah, I wish I had seen more of the hand leading up to this, but I would imagine with her seat from early position at least,
Yeah,
she wouldn't
she's-
be going crazy with these two guys on her left.
That's my
and
inclination.
those guys in position.
Yeah.
Alti has the button in his hand. You know, so I think she's a bit more narrow than we'd like her to be in order to justify shoving king.
John is going to be all
You
in
shove
for
king, queen suited for
1,450,000.
sure, but
I peel those two pretty spades. I don't think they're.
Yeah, you're right. It's that close. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't
you
fault
peel
them.
those, you'd say you'd peel king, queen
No, I'm
suited?
saying if I look down at king, queen of spades or something, I couldn't imagine folding.
Oh,
on
okay. I
17.
was like, oh, I go
Yeah.
all in, but maybe
Five
I'm
of
being dumb.
diamond, 10 of hearts, five of hearts. Kelly's still in the lead.
No, John. Still
Bummer
with his
we
3
did-
outs.
Didn't get to see his GTO play. I
No,
really,
we
really
didn't.
wanted to see it.
Well,
Jack
that
of
10-8 off
hearts.
fold.
Oh, hold
Jack
up.
of Hearts adds some draws
Hold
in the
up,
turn.
yeah, maybe
Kelly
we
with the
do.
flush draw. John with the straight draw needs an ace, 9, or king, not of
Right,
hearts.
here comes the river.
It is a 6 of spades. John Graham is our 6th place finisher. You know, for a guy whose previous high score was 28,000 and having come in with the short stack today, hopefully he can feel pretty good about his efforts this week. But he's going to be taking home 6 figures, $146,245 for his 2nd WPT event. So congrats to him.
It's a fantastic finish. 6 out of 1,000 plus.
Yep.
I mean,
3,500 too. That's a big payday. 143K profit.
it's a win in a lot of tournaments. Yeah.
And so the campaign to become the first female winner of an open WPT event continues for Kelly Minkin. Strong start for her with queens over king queen. Still 3rd in chips, but moving on up.
Wow, that's amazing how deep they are. It's really, really, really good.
Mhm.
66 blinds in 3rd place.
Yep.
Going to be some long short-handed play or a really big hand. one or
Yeah,
the
and the most conservative player in the short stack, I would imagine.
Yep.
So it's not like his chips are getting in super quick.
Right now it's sizing up to be 3-handed between our 2 chip leaders and Kelly, you know, if nothing else changes. And I could see that being a 3-handed match with some serious fireworks. All of them seem like they're willing to mix it up.
I agree.
Greg folds under the gun.
Heck of a beard.
Heck of a beard, isn't it? It's a playoff beard is what that is.
It is.
Mm-hmm.
Althea craft beer lover, wrestler. I think he's an assistant wrestler coach
But he wears a lot of plaid.
to his brothers. Hey, it's cold up in Maryland. Got a lot of snow up there right now.
175 raise.
Mark is going to raise 175,000.
I'm sorry, Massachusetts. I mean.
You had me going there. I was like, is MA Matt? Maryland, not
It's
Massachusetts.
it's not
I
near-
read
it's-
Massachusetts
and it's
before.
not nearly as cold in Maryland as it is in Mass. I meant Mass.
I was like, I'm just going to say nothing and hope nobody notices. Well, Mark there takes down the pot, opening what I believe was 8-6 of spades. We were having such a good time in the booth, I was barely looking. There you can see Greg Rosen and Sanjay Gehi, our 2 short stacks. Mark and Brian way ahead of the pack, and Kelly still in the middle.
There's just so many chips.
A lot of chips in play. This was a great structure. I thought getting through the day one a little bit quicker than some of the other 3,500 re-entries was nice. You get a little bit closer to the money. You don't need to wait until day 3, I think, to get on the money.
I think it was end of day 2 or something,
It was end
right?
of day 2, right?
Yeah, well,
Hour levels through the course of the event, but there was
Yeah.
so many chips in play that, you know, never became shallow.
But then juiced up to
Brian is
90
gonna
in the
raise
final few
175,000.
days.
Oh, did they?
Oh, yeah, you played 90-minute levels on 3 and 4,
Mark
right?
folds.
Oh, excuse me. I thought it
So-
stayed 60.
That's why we have so many chips in play. The structure's pretty incredible for
A 3,500
a 3,500.
and a non-televised
To get
3,500.
so many people make the guarantee and still have this kind of play at the final, it's
Really
I mean,
encouraging.
kudos to
Yeah.
my home casino. I love what they're doing here, and they're always adjusting structures and guarantees to what they think is going to work well, and not just staying kind of rigid on what they thought might have worked a few years ago. They're constantly adjusting, which is nice to see.
And one thing we know for sure about this property is in the event of overlay, they will make good on it, as we can remember the $2.5 million in overlay that players saw in the 10 mil guaranteed 5K event back in August.
Yep.
Won by Phenom Dan Coleman, who just won everything in 2014. Sanjay here releases ace-7, facing a raise from Brian.
I like that fold. I like that he's thinking about it, though.
Yeah.
You know, it was definitely worthwhile to think about what you want to do there.
All in.
Greg here coming over the top with
He's gonna
ace-7.
have full equity too. It's
Wow.
pretty nice.
Making a nice adjustment against Brian's opening
Yeah, that
frequency.
would not be my default play there.
No.
in the big blind.
Oh, you peeling here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, if Altman keeps opening every single hand,
Yeah.
you gotta go on.
Yeah, it's not. I love the play from him. I didn't think that. I didn't think we would see that.
Nobody's
Yeah,
playing scared today.
No.
Mm. Yeah, I played with him yesterday, and he was splashing around. He definitely wasn't sitting there playing scared money.
It's a shot of our WPT Champions Cup and the Royal Flush Girl sitting beside it. It's Tuba and Kat with us on this stop. Of course, the cup contains the name of every WPT champion on there,
Including Tony Dunst.
including Tony Dunst, yes. Now I'm trying to get the diamond that you get, if you win 2.
Ooh.
Yeah, they
Nice.
attach a little diamond to your name, so we're on the diamond grind now.
Do you just keep adding a stone every time you get one?
Yeah, they do.
Wow.
I think there's, I don't know, I think there's a 3-time winner, right? And he'd have 2 stones. Is Carlos Mortensen the 3-time winner? Maybe Gus Hansen as well? Does that sound right?
Gus
Yeah.
had one, right? Daniel, no? He didn't win just 2?
Gus definitely had 2 because he had 2 the first season or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember if he got a 3rd one at some point. Mark here opening King Queen under the gun. Gus had a rough 2014.
Yeah,
You know?
I know. The kid I live with brought the pain on him.
Really? That was your boy playing him.
Yeah, well, I mean, Gus lost most of his stuff playing deuce to 7, but every time he played PLO against Ben just annihilated him. He
Yeah.
didn't have an alarm clock set, if
Right,
Gus was
yeah.
online, it was time
There's a lot of people giving interviews lately talking about how they had the Gus
Oh,
alarm.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, he's a brilliant guy, too, and a great poker player.
Very
but,
much so.
Yeah. Just,
It's just, it's hard. You might be the 15th best in the world at something, but if you're playing the 5 best in the world at it, it's going to go very poorly for you.
yeah, you gotta get beat up.
Game selection is important.
Mm-hmm.
But, Gus strikes me as someone who strives to be the best at whatever he wants to compete in. And
Yep.
sometimes you got to take your lumps in order to learn and try to be the best.
Defend with
8-5.
off, yeah. Expect this to go check, but
I think so as well.
yeah, but I don't know. People in tournaments like to bet every time, so you might just see that. I think betting as a default is okay.
Yeah.
You obviously have good equity with this hand, and you deny the free 6 outs to a hand like 8-5 off or whatever on turns and rivers, but if you're playing against someone who's good and aggressive and you just auto bet every single board that's paired, they can just crush you. You literally just start check raising a bunch of draws and a bunch of trips, and what are they going to do? Just get stacked every single time they have aces or whatever? And if they're only betting the flop with their bluffs and then checking all their overpairs and all that, they just never have a good hand.
They're playing very exploitably.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's going to be especially easy to exploit someone when you get to find out their hand 30 minutes after the fact, as these players have the option to do today.
Yeah, I mean, betting the flop is fine. I mean, you put pressure on his weak ace-x and his hands like pocket 4s or whatever. But I think as generally against the other chip leader in a tournament where I do not want to play a huge pot against him, I'm going to size all my bets down and I'm going to bet a lot less frequently. I would just check there and try to get the hand to showdown.
Right.
That's where you and Mark definitely differ, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Mark,
think he's comfortable betting there, and he might even be comfortable calling a check raise.
Yeah,
To be
yeah.
honest.
Yeah,
He
that's
played
true.
some hands where he's hanging on, and he's just gonna try to use a bulldog in every pot. But
I just think overall that's a terrible strategy against the other chip leader.
I would agree. ICM wise and everything, I would totally agree. And the way I've approached any big final tables has definitely been careful against the guys that can really hurt me in a big way, and just understanding who and where to apply pressure.
Exactly.
And Mark isn't really kind of diversify where he applies his pressure. He's just kind of full blast, I think, in a lot of ways. But We'll see. It could work out for him. Sometimes
it does
blasting
work
away
out,
works
yeah.
out.
Yeah, oftentimes that works out.
Yeah.
Kelly here opening a pair of deuces.
Wow.
Fold out of the small blind.
Wow. I didn't
Small
think about
fold,
it.
Kelly with a pot.
I'm just absolutely blown away.
I'm kind of blown away by that.
I'm
too.
surprised. I'm really surprised Altman didn't 3-bet there.
The king
honestly.
six suited there.
Yeah.
It's a pretty ideal hand to be
Yeah,
3-betting.
one guy's
like.
got 10 blinds, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's very comfortably in third. I mean, maybe they expect her to play back.
It's fine. You've
Yeah.
king six suited.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, play back. She might peel. Like I don't know. You're just gonna.
It's still not the end of the world.
I
is it?
like that hand to do it with for
Yeah.
sure.
Well, guys, you can hit us up on Twitter during the broadcast. We'll be able to reply to you and see you in real time. We've got our phones with us today. We're on a 30-minute delay, so no concern about being quarantined up here the entire time. I'm at Bond_18. I believe Muckle Pahuja is just at Muckle Pahuja, right? And
Yeah.
Jason Kuhn, are you just at
Same.
Jason Kuhn?
Yeah, I'm saying.
So you guys can tweet at us individually. You can tweet at the at WPT handle, and we should be able to see that as well. So if you have questions, comments, jokes, anecdotes you want to tell about the players, let us know. And
This
if-
is a oh, sorry. to
Go
interrupt.
ahead,
I was just
Jason.
saying, I think that this is a spot where Mark will choose to 3-bet, and I don't like it. I think that obviously it's a very easy value 3-bet spot
Right.
in most circumstances, but you're 3-betting the other chip leader, and I think cold calling. I think he did just call.
He did just call.
I really like that.
I agree.
There's just absolutely no need to.
Oh wow.
Wow, this is going to go shove and
Fold call.
Yeah, fold call. Yeah,
Yeah.
Call, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
I don't love. I'm not like excited to snap off with ace jack off.
No, of
No.
course not. But
Not
Sanjay's been
folding.
really aggressive
Yeah.
in these spots, and
He should have every pair, right?
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and maybe
And
an
ace 4
10
suited and whatnot. I mean,
yeah.
if I have
Yeah.
ace 4 suited there, I'm never calling and I'm never folding. I'm all
Yeah.
in there all day. I think the small blind's calling range. Like I expected him to 3-bet ace jack even.
Especially with how Mark plays, I would be pretty comfortable shoving
You're
my
just-
medium
you're just
aces.
Printing.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're printing money. I mean, Brian's button range is like 85% of hands or something.
Yeah.
Sundays all in.
Sanjay does go all in as expected. Brian will fold. And Mark presumably will call.
No, I lay even money for a lot.
And he calls.
All right, Mark,
So let's
Mark.
have a flip.
Exactly the kind of call I
Mark
expected.
turns
I
over
don't
Sanjay Gehi
love
at
it,
risk.
but I'm putting it
Jack
in.
of hearts. Sanjay has 10 of spades, 10 of diamonds.
All the brown magic enthusiasts are hoping we keep some magic at the table now.
He seemed like a really nice guy.
He did.
too.
He
Yeah.
really did.
And all of his spots have been really. I mean, I think
Yeah.
he's been playing the short stack very well so far.
Yeah, definitely. Very, very impressed by the spots he's taken already.
Yeah.
Only 17 hands
0.88.
in, and this is pretty much
Sanjay's
cooler.
gonna be
This
all
is
in for
you get your chips in and hope.
Yeah, I
hope-
think the only thing that hurt him was 3-betting that king queen earlier. I think that's a spot where you just call 2 blinds,
Yeah,
float
agreed.
Sure.
the flop, c-bet, and maybe
Yeah.
show it down.
Agreed.
All
Your
right,
hand's
here
very
comes the
strong and
flop.
be comfortable playing
Flop
that
comes
pre
down.
and flop a little bit more. Where you
Queen
just
of diamonds.
Ooh, there is an ace on the flop for Mark.
Six of clubs.
So Sanjay down to 2 outs or a
Mark is in
running
the lead.
straight to save his tournament.
Comes the turn.
King on the turn does give him an additional 3 outs to the jack. Almost said 4, but one's gone.
I got one more out, don't I?
7's better than 5.
But a 10 no longer good for him.
A 10 or a
Yeah.
So I guess he had picked up 1 out, really. 8 on the river.
All right. Marco with the
He's
pot.
going to eliminate Sanjay Gehi. He's going to be our 5th place finisher today. Again, we were talking about the fact that this was his first WPT, so getting 5th place for $180,752. I'm sure it feels pretty good once the sting of elimination wears off.
Yeah, think about what a victory this has been so far for Greg, who's just
Yeah.
been sitting here on 10 blinds, playing pretty tight. Just got 2 pay jumps.
Yeah, Greg feels like a genius right now.
He was
He's just
great.
hanging out.
He got that A7 shoved through
Yeah.
and watched the bust out, and
Yeah.
he's chilling.
He's made like, what, $90,000 watching people bust?
Yeah.
Either way, if I 3-bet, he's probably shoving anyway and then calling.
Kelly's got to be feeling really good too.
Yep.
This is
But yeah, I think
this
for the-
we're definitely on pace for
without you actually
really
knowing
deep
that,
3-handed
I think,
match.
yeah, and I think that it's going to be. My guess is going to be a long,
Yeah, it wouldn't matter.
long three and heads up.
Yeah. Well, heads up will never take that long because of the half-hour levels. You know, that will force
there's
to play.
half-hour levels.
Half-hour
I didn't
levels
know
heads
that.
up. But I do agree that three-handed could take quite a while if there's not some kind of cooler.
But still, if for some reason they get like heads up with 100+ bigs each, which is very possible, you're still going to be playing heads up for at least 3, 4 level, 5 levels at half-hour each, and that's
Ooh,
Hair Queens for Brian.
that's a real one.
Going
Ready
up.
for 175.
175.
I like that he's adjusting no matter what the strength of my hand here in this position. Now that these stacks are what they are right behind him. Oh, wait, no, you still have the short stack in the big. I thought
Yep.
it was just, okay.
Mark right behind with a pair of 4s. I would assume he was going to call, but it's starting to look like he's going to 3-bet. Are you guys surprised to see that?
Yes, I am.
I'm not surprised, but I don't think it's good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not shocked, but I don't like it.
Yeah.
185,000.
I don't think it's.
I don't think it's crazy or
terrible.
anything.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
It's a pretty hard hand to play post flop. I think
Yeah.
you do have a lot of immediate fold equity or whatever, but the problem you're gonna get yourself into is now you're gonna get 4-bet at least. I don't even think it's out of line at all for Alti to call. It's probably the standard play if you're talking just strictly ICM, but I think that you're probably going to get 4-bet here, and now you're going to be sitting there with a pretty awesome 5-bet hand, and it's going to get ugly. But if you know that Alti's going to call like he does here and play correct, I think.
I don't hate this, though, to be honest, just given stacks. I think Brian's going to have a much better sense of ICM and these kind of things.
Yeah,
and
that's
play
what I'm
hands
saying.
very well.
If he's calling, then it's much better spot than
To
if he's
3-bet the
4-betting you
fours?
off.
Yeah.
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 Because I don't think you want to 5-bet all in. At least that way you're. I think you should cold call 6s and 6s through 9s, basically all the time. Maybe even 6s through 10s. But 4s are a pretty good bluff. They're pretty garbage hand.
Yeah.
They do have.
I just trust my post flop on the button playing position, even with 4s. I mean,
I just trust my flop setting.
that too.
Set
I'm
flopping.
pretty good at that.
Yeah,
as well.
well, and you also got to think about one other thing that's kind of cool with the 4s. Like, if it's an awesome hand that if the big blind goes all in for whatever 13 or 14 big blinds, you have a lot of equity against their range,
Yes,
which
correct.
is pretty handy rather than just 3-betting a hand like whatever King 7 off or something like that against his open. You have a
Yeah,
lot more
it
equity.
feels
against,
gross when you have to call off with this
Yeah.
huge price.
Yeah.
Well, Marcus followed through with a bet of 450. Guys, are you also surprised that he's followed through on this flop particularly?
Yeah, I don't think it's a good bet. I think that most of Altman's range is suited broadways.
Yeah.
And, your standard 3-bet calling range, and I really don't think it's good.
Yeah, I don't think he's getting many hands to fold that flop at all. And king on the turn will give Brian a straight draw. It makes you wonder whether this is a card Mark will consider barreling. I'm not sure. It's a pretty good card for Brian's range as well as the
Definitely gonna
problem.
Consider doing it.
Yeah.
Whether
I
he
don't think
should
it's
or
a good
not
play.
Yeah.
is different. Yeah, I think everything he's going to consider doing it. I think he will, given his own hand strength.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an awful barrel. I think Altman has all the combos of Jack-10 suited. He has King-Jack, King-Queen, which isn't folding, all of the Ace-Queen, sets of 10s,
Queen-Jack.
sets of 6s. Like, the only part of his range that you're trying to fold him off is, like, a pair open-ender or, like, maybe a 10-9 suited hand, which is pair gutter.
But these are all the great reasons to not bet the flop. And
Yes,
he did. That's
exactly.
why I
Yeah,
agree.
yeah.
I totally agree with you.
Yeah, but you're saying he probably will.
I
keep
think
betting.
he will.
Yeah, which is
Yeah.
which will be reinforcing how bad this flop bet was,
Yes,
basically.
agreed.
Yeah, this is an awful spot.
Literally, when you have
Yeah.
4-4 and Jack 6-10 rainbow and a 3-bet pot, and you know you're like never getting through, it's not a good bet.
Yeah, this
And now you're compounding.
I think pre-flop was fine. I'm not going to beat him up too bad for his pre-flop.
Yeah,
bet.
pre-flop
like I said,
is-
it might even be slightly better. But the flop bet and turn bet are awful. But we've seen that all he does is bet. I mean, he
Yeah.
doesn't check. I think his flop C bet so far has been 100, even in 3-bet pot. He just keeps going. And Altman here is
Never folding.
never folding and also quite happy. Like, he's
Yeah.
very happy. I don't think that Mark would continue betting Ace-King here, which makes this turn bet even worse.
Yeah, that's another issue.
Yeah, I think he just always checks Ace-King. So this is just, he's basically polarized here to a set or Ace-Queen. And who even knows if he 3-bets Ace-Queen? He just showed that he cold-called Ace-Jack against a button open from the small blind. So he's like, okay, I'm repping top set here. That's about it. I don't even think he bets aces on the
Yeah.
turn.
He might
He
bet
might,
ace king,
and
which
he-
I wouldn't like
right.
either, but I think he might.
He
I think he
specifically.
Would. I think
Yeah.
he might, but like, which is I wouldn't love that.
Strategically,
in
though,
that
it's all
either.
really bad.
I agree. Like, yeah, I would try to just evaluate river, get the showdown with my one pair hands in a lot of my one pair hands, and
The funny thing is, the way that this hand may play out is if he really decides to nut
To go
up,
for it on the
there's a
river, he
chance-
might get away with it.
No, I think there's a chance that Altman bluff shoves with the best hand.
Which is a sick
blocker.
play here
Yeah.
specifically.
Yeah, if the board doesn't pair,
Yeah.
I think that there's a very good chance that Altman check shoves all in over any bet. And I think it would be a pretty awesome play with that hand.
Yeah.
If the assumptions are right that he's betting ace king,
I haven't seen.
which I
Mark
don't think
play,
he should be.
I haven't seen Mark play enough rivers and to know how thin he goes.
He's
Right.
and
really
everything.
ag.
Yeah, and he goes very, very
And
thin.
he's got a lot of heart.
Yeah.
Oh, you're talking Dube. I think it just goes check here. But if he bets,
I would assume
No, I'm
so.
saying if he goes thin to justify check shoving queen like here.
Well,
know,
when you
I mean-
check shove, I think you're only repping ace queen, but
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
significant part of your range. I mean,
Yeah.
you have 16 combinations of it. You
Yeah.
know, having 16 combos of a hand by the river that's the nuts in a spot where your opponent probably never can even have the hand. Maybe
Yeah.
3-bets the 4 combos of ace queen suited. It's just a pretty sweet spot to have 2 queens in your hand and go all in my opinion.
Now is Mark going to fire a third time here? Or is he going to give up in the river?
I don't think he gives up. I don't think he loves to give up in general.
You see how intense Alti's
Staring him down.
Yeah.
Mark's going to check.
And they do both check, so Brian will win with a pair of queens.
Yeah, that was a very, very big mistake.
Mm-hmm.
Especially, I mean, you just basically dusted off $2.5 million in
Yep.
a spot where you have 0 equity. 3-bet spot's fine. I think 3-bet, you get called, you check and give up.
Try and get the showdown,
Yeah,
essentially.
sure, whatever. You put in 5.5 blinds or whatever, big deal.
Yep.
But you start compounding your pre-flop aggression in spots like that, you're going to dust off a chip lead stack real quick.
So Brian now, our chip leader, after a well-played pair of queens.
Yeah.
Still
I like Brian's line a lot. Do you think about 4-betting there ever?
I don't know, because I don't know how Mark is going to react to it. If Mark was the type of player where I was just like, if I thought he was a very clicky pre-flop
Right.
type player, then I just would and be okay getting it in. It's just, again, ICM-wise, it's a little scary.